And well, hello there folks, I'm RJB from RJBTV, and tonight we continue on with the best of set between Burgersasu and Stork. That's Burgersasu on the left and Stork on the right. They've been fighting a revenge best of set, because in the previous set that these two played, one of them lost. So the loser, of course, is here to get revenge for last time. The score so far in this set, though, is 3 wins for Burgersasu, and Stork sadly couldn't put up enough of a fight to survive the Burgersasu. Burgersasu has been playing very solidly. The games all have been very long, though. The games have all been very long. And Burgersasu hopes this is going to be the final game in this set, where Stork is of course hoping that this is going to be the start of his comeback. Because if he wants to win, he's going to have to start winning right now, not the next game, because this is a best of 7, best of set. So let me just check the sound settings, if I've got those all correct or not. I do. Just didn't have the game sound, the special effects turned on. Now luckily I do. So yeah, Stork so far has been putting up a great fight against Burgersasu, but couldn't quite get his hands on victory. Couldn't quite hold on to it. Let it slip out of his grasp 3 times in a row. And this 4th game, hopefully, is going to be the chance, the time that he manages to grasp it firmly in his hands and never ever let go. He's here on the olive green Protoss, right here, on the bottom left of the map. I should have introduced him a little bit earlier, but I was talking about random things that weren't actually that important, to be honest. So Nexus first into double gateway, whereas Burgersasu goes for command center into double barracks. Both players kind of doing the same thing. I don't want to say the exact same thing, but they kind of got the same idea going on. It's going to be a 3 barracks, 3 gateway. So yeah, both players doing a mirror build order, but with different races. Something we don't often see, but something that is kind of fun to see. I'm curious to see. I'm very excited to see a lot of things, it turns out. I'm very excited to see a lot of things. Specifically, this one SCV. Where is it going? It's going to the north. Probe going to the bottom left, bottom right. So one journey, one mission. Outside of the safety of his homeland, home base, arriving in the enemy state. Gathering information. The scout there finds Burgersasu pretty early on, and he's got a pretty good grasp of what Burgersasu is up to. Finds the command center first, which of course means that Burgersasu was taking some early game risks that could have been punished by a rush, but of course, because these Nexus first and command center first build orders are kind of like rock, paper, scissors build orders, both players kind of just went for a rock. They both had a rock at the same time, and whenever you get a rock at the same time, they cancel each other out. Burgersasu entering the middle, he's on the hunt for that Protoss base, and I think he knows where he is, because he's sending those Marines to the 7 o'clock spawn location, find some Zealots there, and the Marines aren't going to die. Yes, they're... Ooh, that one's going to survive barely, though. He's going to run for his life. Come on, SCV. Marine, run! You gotta go faster. You're not gonna make it. Is he gonna make it? Yes, he's gonna make it. There's a bunker there in the front. And he gets... No, he turns around and he's baiting, he's tempting with fate. And he goes not to the bunker. He's gonna try to defend against those Zealots that are walking through into the backside of the base, where there's only 5-6 Marines ready to fight and defend against Zealots that didn't lose a lot of HP. They're still pretty healthy, in my opinion. They're still looking pretty beefy, pretty strong. Fight erupts, Firebat's on the scene, the very fast Academy from Burgersasu micros the Firebat and kills the Zealots without much problem. Lost 1 Marine, but who cares about 1 Marine? Well, I'm sure there are some people who care, but who cares about the Marine? Does he have a family at home? I do know that in the story lore of the StarCraft official lore, you know, in the story from the campaign, a lot of Space Marines from the Terran race are former prisoners, like convicted criminals. So then the question becomes, I mean, anyone, a criminal or not, has a family. So who are there for the Space Marines? Are there Space Marines who are not criminals or former convicts? I honestly don't really know that much about... Are they all convicts? Are they all criminals? Or just a few of them criminals? Anyway, a fight erupts there. Dragoons running away from the Marines and the fire bats. They got themselves into some trouble. He's trying to buy some time for the cannons to finish up. Zealous in the front there as well. Gonna have to buy even more time. Cannons are now under attack, under siege. Cannons getting cancelled there one by one by Stork. Stork retreating to the backside of his base. Does not have cannons to the backside of his base. Got Dragoons and Zealots there though, but fire bats trying to run around. Gonna have to try to block them. Fight happening in the front. Marines are just running right through. Gonna go straight for the probes. Probes are running away. Probes are... He's attacking the cannon. Cannon goes down. Now the probes are next. Coal probes already went down. Probes are trying to run away. This is really bad news for Stork here. Losing a lot of his minerals. Losing a lot of his probes. His economy is down in the dumps. Economy got completely destroyed. 13 probes left alive. There's 32 SVs there from Burgersasu. But now, Stork can go for a counterattack if he wants to. Although I'm not sure if he can break through. He does have a superior fighting force, like a greatly, vastly superior fighting force with Dragoons with range, and Zealots with pretty strong speed. So yeah, they're going to come across the map and try to break through. Burgersasu, of course, going to try to prevent that from happening, already plugging up that front door, putting a supply depot right in that one pathway that was there, and is now no longer to be seen, with Marines behind in a bunker with range and stim. Another one attack on the way, and Stork decides against hitting those supply depots with the Dragoons, which is something he can do, but he decides not to. I really think he should have tried to at least hit those supply depots, because a tank is not yet under construction. A tank siege mode is not yet being researched, so there's still some time here before Stork's Dragoons are going to get attacked or killed by a siege tank when they try to attack. But Stork, of course, does not know that. He's going to try to attack anyway. What is there inside that shuttle? Is it a triple High Templar? Going to try to fly right in. There's not really a lot of ways to get in here, though. Like, there's turrets on the bottom and the top side. There's Marines on the dropping pathways, so can't really get in there. He's going to have a difficult time breaking this choke. This game is already looking very, very, very grim for Stork. The shuttle there on the high ground. He might try to storm from beyond the hill. He's got a tank there on the scene. Siege mode almost finished up. Siege tank number 2 on the way. Unloads a single Templar on the high ground. I did not know you could unload right there on this map, but it turns out you can. He found the one spot. But there's nothing to storm. Everything is too far away. He's gonna try to do the same thing on the bottom side hill, but can't quite get a High Templar unloaded. Goes for the attack now, hitting the supply depots, trying to kill the tank in the back. The second tank is sieging up, or Templar trying to storm, but too far away. Marines are running away as well to try and dodge the storms. Storming on the tanks, it's one storm. Cannot get storm number 2 on a tank, and that attack falls flat. I don't want to say flat on his face, but that attack falls flat. Didn't quite achieve what he wanted to. His High Templar on the high ground just could not get the storm off on the Marines. If that had happened, maybe the fight would have gone completely different. But it was a tough call, and he made it because he had to do something, and it didn't quite work out. So now we're getting more gateways. We're getting... He's got Storm. He's getting a level 1 attack. Getting a support bay now as well. And he's still just producing probes, trying to recover all the probes he lost earlier. He's 36 probes at the moment, against 56 from Burgersasu. Burgersasu getting a low, great. Finally gets the storms off in the front. Finally got the storms, killed 7 Marines. Took a little while to get there, but eventually he finally got the storm. Marines are finally within range, and now Burgersasu is feeling funky, because he's going to go for the attack. Going to try to end this game once and for all. More storms coming down there from beyond the hill. A lot of Marine kills there. Well, not a lot. I thought it was going to be more, but turned out to be only 1 or 2, maybe 3. Marines there arriving in choke, while the rest is getting delayed by a High Templar that distracted them. But luckily not a lot of them go down, most of them do stay alive. But that storm right there, that's a good storm. That is the storm he needed. Kills the tank as well. That is going to stop the push in my opinion. I think that is going to stop the push. Burgersasu now on 6 barracks, getting double engineering bay, getting double armor and weapon upgrades for Marines. I think he's got level 1 finished for both of them. Only level 1 attack. Level 1 armor is still being researched. EMP is being researched. He's getting raids as well against, of course, shuttles and maybe even carriers. Because Stork does like carriers, although at the moment he is in a position where he cannot build the carriers because he's economically still recovering. His economy is still pretty bad. So he's getting a couple more gateways, relying on High Templars to keep himself alive. Burgersasu retreating because the storms did a dirty number on his army. So he's back here at home. Supply counts are now evened up, which means of course Stork gets more army, Burgersasu's got more economy. Burgersasu now he's switching over into a defensive playstyle. He's switching over into pure defense. He temporarily flipped the switch, but the switch didn't remain flipped for a very long time. So we're now back in the position we were in earlier, with Stork having to break Burgersasu's defenses and try to injure him. There's a third nexus up for Stork on 56 probes at the moment. He's adding on a lot more gateways. He might get stargates later on as well. I noticed that Stork is not the fastest builder on fastest map, but he does very smart things, very controlled, very smart. But is that enough to break the Burgersasu? In my experience as a Protoss, it is very useful to be a very fast builder. Because you gotta build so many different structures. You got a lot of supply depots, a lot of gateways, a lot of stargates, and a lot of cannons on the middle perhaps. Maybe some proxy bases as well. Bottom line, as a Protoss, you spend a lot of time building. So if you're very fast at building, like, I'm slow at it. I'm fast at controlling my units and producing units, but putting down structures, I'm terribly slow at it. Raids coming in, no detection in the front, no cannons either. Takes down all the shuttles that are there. Burgersasu playing aggressive. He scanned first, checked if there was anything that could kill and stop the raids. No, there wasn't. And he scans, goes right in, doesn't wait, doesn't prolong, and just goes right in, pulls the trigger, and shuts down the shuttle drops, which Stork really wanted to hit. And he had to hit them as well. He's already building cannons in response to put the shuttles on top of, so that the shuttles don't get sniped by raids yet again. There's observers on the scene as well, he's getting some coursers in the air. Coursers, of course, are the natural enemy of raids. Raids have such low HP, and they kind of stack themselves, making themselves a pretty easy target for Corsairs, and they do go down very, very quick. So a lot of players get Corsairs with observers, with their shuttle drops, and just absolutely destroy the raids. And I can already see what Burgersasu is trying to do here. He scans the main. Well, he scanned this part. Didn't scan the main yet. Maybe he scanned the main earlier. He's gonna try for a Wraith bomb with EMP on the Nexus. But because we have an observer right there, Stork saw this all coming and already put units in between to kill all the raids if they do decide to go for the bomb on the Nexus. EMP plus raids on the Nexus. But it turns out that Stork has pretty good main defense, but High Templars, Corsairs, that's not going to happen. Burgersasu is not going to snipe that Nexus. Although these 4 pylons could have been cannons, which does kind of reduce the amount of damage you can do defending, putting some more cannons on the side. Also, these tech structures are taking up space that could have been cannons. But, you know, things are working out so far. Also, got some cannons here on that proxy base on 12 o'clock, but I think Burgersasu just scouted it. He's gonna try to kill it. He's got a vessel in the mix. Vessel might EMP on the cannons. Oh, wait, no, he didn't even know. He did not even know. He's trying to fly all the way around to try and intercept, or, well, be there before Stork's army can be there. So by pure chance, he finds his 12 o'clock base. I thought he scouted it. I thought he was going to kill it. But he just happened to fly into it, trying to fly all the way around to get on top of the Nexus here. But we do still have the Corsairs here, somewhere around, somewhere on the map. Not sure where they are, but they're somewhere. He snipes the vessel, and without the vessel, he cannot go for an EMP play on the Nexus. But he might still try. He might still try. Flies all the way around. finds a pretty good spot there, flies into observers, arrives, there's, oh yeah, courses in the mix. Courses are destroying their raids. Raids are getting absolutely blasted out of existence. And they retreat. So what upgrades do these raids actually have? They're on 1 armor, 1 weapon, more raids going down. The tanks at the moment are on 1-1 as well. He's got 2-2 for tanks on the way, but not yet for the air. He's got 1-1 on the Marines, soon 2-2. So relying very heavily on the Marines. Although now he's lifting up his barracks, they've had their use. Marines are now a thing of the past. The future is all in advanced technology. Tanks, raids, Goliaths, vessels, and maybe some vultures. Those are the units a Terran will pretty much always use. And so far, Stork hasn't really hurt Burgersasu. And it mostly largely comes down to losing more than half of his probes to that early game Firebat Marine attack. That attack early on really did a lot of party pooping for Stork. Forced him with his back against the wall, its back against the ropes, forced him into a corner that he's managed to claw himself out of with some good storms earlier on. But falling behind on a Terran is always bad news. So he's got the raids there. Observers are protecting the Corsairs, allowing the Corsairs to hit the raids. The raids do return all the way to the backside of the base. Frontal attack happening. It's a really big frontal attack. That's a lot of Zealots and Dragoons. Corsairs in the air, therefore the raids. Tanks are in between the factories, but this army might just do the trick. More tanks gonna spawn momentarily though, and when the tanks spawn, he might survive this attack. Storm's coming down. This is gonna be closer than I thought it would be. Zealots are breaking through. Zealots getting blocked by SCVs. Storms on the tanks. Tanks are spawning. Dragoons are not really pushing forward by Stork. Stork is not really pushing deeper into the factories. Pulls back a little bit. He couldn't kill enough tanks in time. And now more tanks are spawning. Goliaths are on the scene as well. Of course, they're going to take it down there by the Goliaths. Well, no, Dragoons do save them. And his gateway units are currently at the moment on 1-1, already level 3 attack upgrade. Despite getting hit on the economy really early, really hard. So his upgrades are... The fact that his upgrades are almost better than Burgersasu's is honestly quite insane. Another attack comes in, a lot of Zealots there, entering. Disruption weapons on the tank, but also kind of stops his own Zealots from attacking, so he redirects the Zealot to these tanks on the top side. Very good clicking and target selection, but there's too many tanks, not enough units. So yeah, he can't quite break through. We have a lot of upgrades on the way there for Stork, also for Burgersasu, who's getting level 2 air, level 3 tank upgrades as well, and he's finishing up his marine upgrades. And I see a Ghost is also on the way. I don't see a nuke, but I still see that one command center has no add-on, so you might get a nuke. Another frontal attack happening right there, but 2-2 on the tanks is pretty damn strong against the Zealots. So this shouldn't really be too much of an issue. The raids in the air also provide additional support in finishing off those units. There's the Dark Archon. Dark Archon not really going to do too much. It's just kind of just standing there, looking to see if there's an SCP in the front. Maybe he had other plans, but it didn't quite do much. So he's got one proxy base around 12 o'clock. One proxy base there on 11 o'clock. So double proxy base with a lot of gateways, in addition to the gateways in his main base, where he's got 12, 15, and another 7. So yes, just about 22, 23 gateways in the main base, and I think about 20 on the 12 and 11 o'clock. So that's a lot of gateway production that you can probably get some pretty good use out of. Templar storming, pretty good storms. Arbiter on the scene. No stasis there yet. Gets a stasis down. Didn't EMP. Dragoons, though, a little bit too weak to really push onto those tanks that are clumped up in a nice ball that could have been stormed, but he already used the storms earlier on the tanks in the front. So now he's massing up a gateway army from all directions, going to send them all in at the same time. Mines in the front there, though, are kind of party pooping on the advance. Goliath's in the air, taking down the shuttle. I need a drink before this all happens. Really quick. The Arbiter comes in from the back. Units are kind of coming from a semi-surround into a frontal attack. Getting right in between those tanks. Arbiter in the air, providing the... I don't want to say the cloak, because it's a vessel on the scene, but it's providing somewhat of a cloak effect. But let me explain this. Maybe I can show it if I do this. Like, if the vessel's right here, units that are here are going to be invisible. There's still... The Arbiter still has some use in that sense, even though there is detection present on the scene. So push once again happening. Templar's going to try to storm this entire block of tanks. No energy on this Templar in the front. Storms on the raids. Raids dodges. Raids do kind of go down. Snipes the observers in the air. Did not storm on the... I think storming on the tanks might have been a better choice right there. Because the tanks do seem to be more of a problem than the raids. The raids are largely there to stop storm drops. But they have had their value. The raids have had their value this game in taking away drops and finishing off low HP Zealots and Dragoons while defending. But they certainly have had their use. Shuttle drop comes in, gets taken out of the air. Templar can't storm. Double attack once again. Trying to kill something, but I think only one Dragoon, one tank went down. So the frontal attacks on maxed out upgraded tanks are not really working out. Where Stork is now on 2 armor, 2 shield, 3 weapon attack. I don't see a carrier proxy base yet, but the problem at the moment is that Stork cannot switch over into carriers. He is getting the carrier upgrades though, but he cannot switch over into carriers because he wouldn't simply have the time to build them and then build the interceptors. He wouldn't have the time. He's kind of locked into using gateway units. So that's a little bit unfortunate. He might have to get more Templars. I do think Templars might be the ultimate saving grace for Stork if he wants to win those fights on the middle. Or maybe a mass attack surround on those tanks on the middle. Getting a good surround is difficult. Also, there's mines being placed on the 6 o'clock spawn location and the 3 o'clock spawn location. So getting shuttles across is getting progressively more difficult. He's killing the engineering base floating in the air with the Corsair, so trying to at least deny some vision. Arbiter might try to go for a recall. There's a large, big army, and Arbiter there as well. Gonna try to do a double recall, but raids arrive on the scene. Recall not happening. Recall shut down. Mines and structures providing so much vision that I don't think a recall's ever gonna work from that angle. So he goes into the middle. No, oh, gets his stasis up just in time. Did scan to detect, but the vessel got taken out. Raids now on the scene, take out the Arbiter. No more cloak. Only has 1 Templar, well, he had 5 Templars in the mix. Took down the entire frontal portion, the frontal section of the tank line. Now getting on the back line of the tanks. The tanks are... I do think they are gonna survive. No, they're gonna die. They're gonna die. Those tanks in the front are gonna die. More... Oh, this might actually be Stork's chance to push in deeper. We do have about 12 tanks on the way, about half of them finishing up very soon. But there's largely only Goliaths and Bolters in the front, although now the tanks have finished just in time. That frontal push won't really get in too far. Burgersasu was just on time with his tanks spawning. So yeah, that's why having a consistent macro is so important, because when you start losing your tanks in the front line, you want those tanks to already get replaced pretty much immediately, so that in the case that you do start losing your entire tank army, that at least by the time the enemy units arrive in your base, new tanks will be spawning just in time to defend. If you're just a little bit too slow, those tanks might spawn with zealots right next to them. And that is when you, as a Terran, are gonna die. Great EMP forces 6-7 Templars to be morphed into Archons. And another EMP comes down, although I don't know if that EMP... Okay, that EMP certainly did a job. That EMP took them down really easily. So we got a Stargate proxy base there on 1 o'clock. The gas proxy base there on 12 o'clock. Fleet beacon there as well. Another frontal attack happening, but this one shouldn't really do too much either. What matters most is that he's keeping Burgersasu's army from pushing out. Well, he's pushing out, but he's keeping that army a little bit smaller than it would otherwise be. Like killing 5 to 6 tanks every single time. It isn't much, but it might be just enough to slow down the push and to prevent the Terran from reaching critical mass with its tank army. Because if the tank army becomes too big and starts rolling into the middle and starts setting up, sometimes it simply becomes impossible to budge that tank line, to push it back. Some more courses in the air. You're going to try to finish off those last remaining raids. Although the raids, yeah, they're still there in the back. Might go for disruption webs instead. I would really like to see more Templars, but the Templars are not being built at the moment. Stork is very steadily producing and very consistently producing though. Templar there in the front. Oh, he's got more Templars now. It's 4 Templars. 1 Storm, 2 Storm, triple Storm. Okay, you got Storm number 4. No, I don't. There's number 4. I'm going to finish off the tanks there. You reduce the amount of units here quite well. But Burgersasu is still almost maxed out, while he himself is trying to rebuild his army that he lost. He does have, I'd say, 40 gateways on the map, maybe 45. It's like there's gateways everywhere. And Burgersasu is scanning the map, sees this proxy base on 12, sees the carrier base here on 1 o'clock. Zealots coming from behind, but the raids in the air are going to finish them off before they can really do too much. Before they can really be a problem. So Burgersasu's army is at the moment split up into 2. And the raids are going back and forth to finish off whatever is chasing or attacking him. The raids are doing a great job. There's an observer there on the side. Oh, we found the Arbiters. But he can't go for the Arbiters because he's getting pushed back into his main base by a pretty strong Zealot and Dragoon army. So yeah, the raids wanted to go for the Arbiters, scans the front, sees that the Arbiters are no longer there, so now he lost track of the Arbiters. Vessel goes down. And I think the tanks spawns just on time to save this. Arbiter comes in with a good recall there, though. That's a good recall. Recalling right behind enemy lines or right on top of the tanks. Now, in between the gateways, now we need a lot of tanks to spawn right about now, or this might get ugly. Or Burgersasu is going to have to pull back that army at 12 o'clock. He can leave a couple of tanks right here to kill all this, maybe even less than 5. So yeah, the Zealots are breaking through. Tanks are spawning all the way in the back, and those tanks in the back are going to save the game. Arbiter in the air no longer has energy for recall, also got EMP, just to make sure that it is not going to recall any more units or going to stasis anything in the base. So Arbiter gets taken down. Zealots are... He's always going to throw away SCVs. Time to open up supply space with a $19,000 bank. He's got the big bank. SCVs in the front. SCVs are going to... he's going to use the SCVs to block the Zealots. So he's not just going to throw them away, he's also going to just use them to block and to make the advance more difficult. Smart move, opening up both supply space and providing a little bit of protection in the front. And Stork is just mass attack sending. He's just spamming Dragoons and Zealots in his gateways and sending them across the map to try and prevent Burgersasu from getting too many tanks, which he sadly already has. He already has too many tanks to push into. So there was a small little time window, but Burgersasu managed to hold on and stay alive once again. So far, this game has been a push and pull, where Burgersasu pushes into the middle, and Stork pulls him right back into his own base. So far, not a lot of progress has been made, although this entire proxy base on 12 o'clock is dead and gone, and I think that is a great success for Burgersasu. He still has 2 more proxy bases to go though. And I still don't see a sign of carriers being built, but as I said before earlier in the game, about 15 minutes ago, Stork cannot go for carriers. He wants to, but he doesn't have time for them. Because look at this army, it just has to travel a very short little distance, and it arrives in his choke. Raids are flying across, gonna try to go for a drop, but oh no, it's purely zealots. Purely zealots might try to unload on top of the tanks. He's gonna go for the tanks. Though the tanks just unsieged, but attack coming from the top and the front. Arbiter on the scene, Arbiter dancing around. Raids arrive on the scene as well. He gets a good stasis there on the vessel. Arbiter goes down. Now the Gateway army is flanked from both directions. And it gets taken down as well. That fight went pretty well for Burgersasu. But Stork has to kind of just keep throwing his army at Burgersasu's army, and at some point hope that his army of Zealots, Dragoons, and Templars will overpower Stork's army, Burgersasu's army. And in my opinion, it's kind of the only option he's got left. Maybe shuttle drops over the bottom side here might get through, but then we have double Ghost lying in wait for double lockdown. There's also a lot of turrets here, so that's a risky play. Plus, Burgersasu's 18,000 minerals, losing his SCVs might actually help him out. So Stork is in a very difficult position where the Terran has become too big to handle. Well, that's what I'm saying. As Stork pushes into the middle, killing that entire middle army, except of course for the couple of tanks that are still there right now, that are being joined by reinforcement. We got tanks beyond the high ground. Great stasis on those raids, but it just killed the Arbiter. Arbiter could not. It stayed alive. Fake news, guys. The Arbiter stayed alive. Yeah, these tanks beyond the high ground are just absolutely painful. Good storm there, though. Good storm there. We got a vessel arriving on the scene. Template gets taken down. Raids are going to get out of stasis very soon. He has 4 gateway bays, and he's got a 9 or there's a 10 gateway base. He's got 14 gateways outside of his main base that he might be able to successfully flank his army here with. Because the thing with Burgersasu's army at the moment is that it's all very split apart, all over the place. A couple units here, a couple units there, a couple units everywhere. So these units coming from behind might actually bite quite a chunk out of these tanks. That is, of course, if Burgersasu doesn't get additional tanks on location in time, which it looks like he did just in time. He got additional forces on location just before Stork could attack. So Stork comes in from the top, defensive medics on the front. Got some shuttles there, unloading on top of the tanks. There's a good stasis coming down as well. Raids in the air are still there to provide additional support. So difficult position to break free from all the tanks, all the raids, all the Goliaths. Stork's army is simply smaller because he has more probes. Burgersasu with a bigger army has a better foothold on the middle. So he's gonna try it the hard way. Send those units into the middle. Gonna try, taking so many shots. Now he's changing direction, storming across the hill, takes on a couple of tanks. Taking out the tanks in the front. More units are coming from the top side. And he can't quite break it. Can't quite break it. He needs to shuttle some zealots across the hill and land on top of the tanks, but he got those damn raids there, preventing him from getting a shuttle on top of the tanks. And that's exactly what he has to do. Maybe storms from across the high ground might be able to clear this all out. These tanks are low HP, the ones here in the back are full HP, so these ones in the front are going to get taken down by a storm. But it's still a difficult situation to be in. Burgersasu's bank is growing smaller as he's continuously producing and losing more tanks and losing even more tanks, but he's replacing them so quick that you never quite notice that his tanks are gone. He's just replacing them very quickly. So Stork tried to unload behind the high ground, but the raids on the scene just absolutely shutting down those attempts of clearing those tanks behind the hill. Maybe he could unload the zealots right here and run up from the bottom and flank them. But Burgersasu at the moment, occupied with killing this 12, 11 o'clock base. A lot of tanks coming over, vultures joining in as well. If only Stork still had the rope alive here at 1 o'clock, he could build a lot of gateways here and still use this as a flanking base. But at the moment, things are not looking too pretty. He might recall here though. He might recall. It's gonna be a recall. It's a recall right in between those tanks. He's got triple storms, 4 storms, storming all over the place, killing a couple of units. But it doesn't look like that recall did the trick. Doesn't look like he had enough units in that recall to really kill all the tanks and vultures and save this 11 o'clock base. So all we've got left is this base here. And that base with 5 stargates, 4 gateways won't probably do the trick in dislodging this control Burgersasu has over the middle. There's mines on this pathway, raids protecting the tanks, tanks of course protecting the pathway. Just a very difficult situation to be in. Tries to get in some zealots, but the zealots get taken down by the tanks instantly. Recalls on top of it. Okay, this might break it. Oh, stasis on his own units there. Good storm though. Good storm, but that stasis on his own units. Maybe he just didn't get enough units across that hill with the recall. Maybe he just didn't get enough units in there. So now Burgersasu pushing through the front door. His army is looking stronger than ever before. You got tanks on level 3-3, vultures level 3-3, you got zealots that are on level 3-3-3 as well, but the tanks with their heavy damage, just a little bit stronger of course. Still 1 tank behind the hill, 1 in stasis. But does he have enough production at the moment? Does he have enough production? Can he keep up with that massive tank army? Oh, can't storm. Templars gonna take it down right before the storm. Those Templars might have killed a couple of them tanks, maybe even 10 of them. And it might have bought him some time. Mines in the middle are killing reinforcements coming from the top side of the map. Arbiters on the scene. Arbiters can't really produce, can't really do anything. They're just fresh meat to be hunted down by the Arbiters, by the raids. And the raids do pay for it with their life, but the Arbiters are dead and gone. And he has 1 on the bottom. Zealots keep spawning, but as soon as they spawn, they kind of walk into a certain death. Artillery fire, long-range siege tanks, they're pretty damn strong. Reinforcements trying to intercept reinforcements, but nope, Stork calls GG, that's it, and Burgersasu comes out victorious with a 4-0 victory over Stork after losing in the first best of set. So Burgersasu gets his revenge after all, after he previously couldn't beat the Stork. But this time around he shows complete dominance and he wins 4 games in a row, although all 4 games were pretty long, like 20, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. They were all pretty long, pretty well fought games. Both players really played their hearts out. And that's it for today. It was RWB for RJBTV with Stork against Burgersasu. Really long set, a good set, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I do hope to see you return. So please leave a like, a comment, a subscribe, maybe become a member. Although being a member at the moment doesn't really have a lot of benefits, but maybe someday they will be there when I actually get a member. So, see you soon.